time that we've had such alerts from particularly the American embassy, but also, for example, the British embassy in the past. Often, almost every time, in fact, these alerts or these threat announcements are made for political reasons rather than security reasons. I mean, if we look at this particular one now, for example, an interesting thing about it is, of course, the United States issues these kinds of warnings for its citizens to be aware of, places that might be dangerous, etc., which is fine for any country to do. And usually these announcements are made on the website of the State Department for its citizens that are going to be traveling. But when the announcement is not on the State Department website, then one is a little more wary about it. And in this case, the announcement is only on the embassy website, not on the State Department website, which means that Americans that are wanting to travel to South Africa and look at the State Department website get no warning, which makes no sense, of course. And the other thing is that, as far as we know, the South African government was not informed of any possible or real threat before the announcement was made by the embassy, which also is a kind of flag about what this might really mean, because if there was a real threat, then the host government would be informed before or even after, but before such a public announcement is made. That didn't happen in this case. So one wonders why such an announcement would be made. Usually, as we've seen in the past good few years, when we see such an alert or such an announcement, it's less about security, and it's more about sending a political message to the South African government. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, there was a group of South Africans that went to Syria, joined ISIS, and then returned some months later. Their return was facilitated from Turkey by the South African government. They were all issued new passports because apparently they had burnt their passports. They were all issued new passports at the embassy in Turkey, etc. All of this was, of course, very secret. The week before they were due to land in South Africa, the U.S. embassy issued an announcement like this one, saying that they have intelligence about a possible terror attack within next week. And again, like this time around, the announcement wasn't on the State Department website, only on the embassy website. Of course, there was no attack. The South African state security was quite clear that, as far as they were concerned, there was no threat. But it was a warning to the South African government that we know what you are doing and we don't like it. So the question is, what is the South African government doing right now that the Americans don't like and they're trying to send them a message about?
Well, certainly, and I think this is exactly my reading into the situation as well. Because firstly, when one looks at what the Americans are saying, it's actually pretty vague as well. And this is where the South African government is saying that if there is announcement that needs to be made, we will make the announcement. At this point in time, it's not even backed by any evidence name.
Yes, so it is very vague. I mean, the only specificity about it, it says that it's certain and this Saturday. But apart from that, it is very vague. Look, I don't agree that necessarily it's only the South African government that should be making this such an announcement. The United States Embassy has a responsibility to its citizens. If it believes that its citizens are under some threat, then they have all the right to make such an announcement after they've informed the South African government that they believe that there is a threat. But this is a threat in a foreign country. They don't inform that foreign government. In which country they have an embassy and supposedly very good political and trade relations. They don't inform that government and they make a public announcement, then you treat it with some suspicion.
Yes, and also I think treating this with some sort of suspicion. We know that the United States have been masters of false flag operations in the past as well, and this is not only South Africa we're talking about, but in many parts around the world where we've seen similar threats that have been issued. But also, I think there could be danger of a false flag operation being carried out too. Name one cannot discount it.
I would discount that. Look, I think that I think we shouldn't make more of this announcement than should be made. And I think we already, with the media in general, are making more of it than deserves a response. I think it should be laughed off. But when we start talking about false flags, etc., I think then we're also making too much of it. The reality is that, firstly, a false flag operation is not that plausible in the South African context. Secondly, that I don't believe that the Americans have any need or will benefit in any serious way by any such operation in South Africa at this stage. Trying to pin it on whom and why. So I don't think that. So what I'm saying is I don't think that there is any security on whether genuine or false flag.
Well, Naeem, Jazakallah for that, and as always, for your time and also your views in unpacking this latest development that is taking place in the country. But for now, we wish you well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Name Jeenah with us, and yes, Name says don't take this matter too seriously, and some of it is actually laughable. So let's see what happens. The time is just gone, 9:46. We can go for a break. We'll be back.